Gonna be.
All right, it's 7 o'clock. Would you all please rise and join in with the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
And to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Roll call when you're ready, Judy.
Nielsen.
Here.
Pop.
Here.
Barris.
Here.
Van Meter. Yes. And Bill's absent.
Yes. We need to make a couple of corrections on the agenda under number 13. The third bullet, it's an extra, just cross that out. And then back up under reports, under IT, that should have been underlined indicating there is an accompanying document. There were some other things that came up late, and so we will deal with those when we get through them, unless you want to add them now.
I believe we need to add roads.
Yeah.
Roads,
You received an email that someone needs to be appointed.
We are supposed to appoint someone to represent Crystal Lake Township at the annual local road committee meeting this month. And you sent the email to me a couple weeks ago,
okay,
so but it's not on the agenda.
okay, well, you need to tell me if you want it on the agenda. So I did say,
Well, I mean,
the estimates for the road aprons.
Right, but I mean, this is an email from the road commission asking us to appoint somebody, so I just assumed you would put that on the agenda. I mean,
Okay,
'cause
well,
we have,
I just would love just better communication.
well, I mean, it's email right to you. They didn't send it to me, they didn't send it to anybody else, it was right to you.
I don't understand why they keep not having all your emails. They know that it's 3 persons. They ask me again, who are your representatives? It's like, guys, it's been the same people all along, so I don't know what their problem is, that they don't know that you and Val and
No, I mean, that's, you
Bruce
know,
are.
in defense of the guy who sent that, Troy Hines. He's not the man, he's the new manager as compared to Matt Skeels,
Yeah,
so
that
he
must be the
probably-
problem.
so he probably didn't
Yeah.
understand the whole thing.
So,
But anyway, we
do we
should,
wanna add that then?
yeah, we should add that at some point, that we should vote to appoint, I guess, myself to that position. So I would go to the annual meeting.
Okay, under roads, we're gonna add appointment, and then you can put an asterisk there, because it'll be an action item.
Right.
Thank you for that amendment. Any other amendments or alterations to the agenda? Then I'll go ahead and move that with those 3 adjustments, we adopt the amended agenda. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Any other discussion? All those in favor, just say aye. Aye. All opposed. Thank you. Conflict of interest, does anyone wish to?
Maybe. I don't know what the discussion is gonna be under the airport report.
Okay,
I mean, you've got
Well-
funding there. I mean, I don't know.
okay,
I mean, I feel like I should.
mention it now.
Yes.
Okay. Duly noted. Okay. Next is, let the record show we had one such response to the, declaration of conflict of interest. Minutes are next. I actually tried to go back and listen, and I just thought that there was something on page 6. You see the 3rd paragraph, the paragraph starts, Pop asks. And then about halfway down, there's a sentence that starts. Ferris noted ordinance review would be put on hold during attorney search. I don't think I said that.
Okay.
I think maybe could. But I don't think I should declare that wasn't like a unilateral
Well,
decision.
and I actually had already underlined it and put question marks.
Oh, had you? Okay. And then also the next paragraph, towards the end, it says, Nielsen favored Crystal Air as first priority, while Ferris requested nuisance to be first priority. I think I made it clear that they were both. I didn't want it to the exclusion of each other. That it was just, that was my personal preference and that they both should be priority, high priority.
I recall that you did state that you thought nuisance was your first priority.
Was mine, yeah. It wasn't the priority, it was just a comment that we were both doing it, but I think I also followed up with it, it's all priority. Anybody else have any corrections to the minutes? I so move that we accept the minutes with those corrections. Do I have support?
On review of the clerk.
Okay, upon review of the clerk, thank you. And that you support that? Any further discussion? All those in favor, say aye. Aye, thank you. Next
I
is,
want to let the audience know that I'm standing up because I got a bad back. It's not because I'm trying to, be anything else. I sit too long and I tightens right up.
correspondence. The first thing, is the resignation from the attorneys. You have a copy of that? And the second is the Frankfort insurance and the RV bond. So we have the bond on the agenda for later, and I don't see Tom here today. So he said he had to do more research on that. So even though it's on for later, he may come in a little later, I don't know. But that will, the action part of that correspondence will be addressed later.
Okay.
On to county commissioners report.
All right, thank you, Karen, Cunningham, District 3. The minutes are printed and up there for you. I am just going to go over the things that have happened since those were printed that I think are of interest to you. One of them is North Michigan College is going to do 4, I want to say, kind of just town halls.
Listening sessions.
Yeah, listening sessions for residents in the area to get our input about what kind of support or what we envision the role of NMC here. If you remember, that's been brought up. The dates are 4 December, 7 p.m., Frankfort City Hall. And that is the closest one. The other one is on the 5th of December at 10 a.m., the Mill House. 7 December, a day in infamy, at 3 p.m. at the Gathering Place in Honor. And 9 December at 10 a.m. at the United Methodist Community Center in Lake Ann. And the other news that I got that you all may all be privy to already is that Megan Garza has been appointed as the director of the Maples. And she was acting as the interim director, and now it's official for her. Other things I won't go into, those were the only ones, and I know you have a long meeting tonight, so yes, questions.
Is the purpose of the college, having these,
Listening
is this something to do with, them potentially asking for a millage to support the college?
Yes.
Yes,
Okay, I think they just ought to be out front about that. I mean, why are we meeting? I mean,
I think they want input just to hear the perspective, because what will they be doing if they do the millage? What is it that Benzie County wants? So I admire that transparency and at least coming out to the public on that. So.
I've got questions, under the airport, October 26th.
Yeah.
All the impact studies, where do you go and get those so that I could read them?
That is right through the airport. They sent me, I had some questions and they sent me 24 improvement or 23 improvements that they done. And that was numbers from the airport and from those years. So it was something that the airport did. So they should have that information.
Okay,
The airport authority on that. Good question. And Dick Bayer is going to be retiring soon, the end of this year, so they are looking for someone to take that position. He has agreed to do a month to month as, you know, as needed until they find a qualified person.
When are they gonna post that and all that?
I don't know. I will find out for you, for the board.
I believe it was.
Was it? Oh, yeah, you're on the, right,
It
okay.
was posted.
Where?
360, some organizations that pilots and whatnot.
Thank you, Brooke.
Yeah.
I'm lucky I have you here, yes.
Would that be? Wouldn't that behoove it, I mean, aren't we trying to find somebody local, like another Dick Bear? I mean, why would it be in a obscure pilot website?
Because that's probably where people like Dick Bear look. Whether they're local or not, you know, people that are, this is their passion or what they're interested in. I would imagine they go to whatever the professional websites are. I am not.
Could you send me where that's posted, Brooke?
I'm looking.
Thank you, though, for having that information, because I did not know the posting date.
Anybody else have any questions about the commissioner's report? Okay, we'll move on then. Thank you very much,
You're
Karen.
welcome.
Fire chief.
Our membership is currently at 25. We have an application pending, so it'll be 26. 2 cadets are still on board. Meeting and training our officers. Meeting, we established a training agenda and topics for the month. Fire department business meeting had 15 members present, and we performed equipment checks and discussed future training plans. Fire department training at the end of October, we had 15 members. They're also present. We conducted a roof rescue operation using the ladder truck. Fire advisory board, I'm looking at gathering all the numbers, and I just got the last one. I got Blaine in today, so we're gonna be working on developing a budget. And then present it to each of the respective participating townships so that you guys can start working on your fiscal budget. My plan is, talk to the clerk treasurer. She said that, she figures that early January or January is when we're gonna get together. So that's her take on it right now. When you
Clerk treasurer of Frankfort?
for Frankfurt, yeah, to start working on our budget, our projected budget, so that you can work on your budget. So that's what you're basically gonna do. And I don't know if that's too late or not. You guys are gonna start probably your budget process in January, aren't you?
Yeah, it's a slow buildup.
So, yeah, and you finalize everything out in February, March, you're done.
Yep.
You finalize with all your amendments. So we're working on getting to that direction by January to try to get you some sort of budget numbers here. Run reports as of today, the city of Frankfurt has made 545 EMS runs and 166 fire runs. And then, let's see, it's now a total of 711 runs, which is 37 above last year, 670. Bringing it down to a little bit more local level right now, for November, Crystal Lake has had 9 EMS runs and 0 fires so far, knock on wood. So that's where we're at so far for the month of November. Community risk reduction, oh, by the way, the average response time for EMS was 98.5% or 99%. Actually, it's been 100% since May of 2023. We made every single one of them, and 100% also on all the fire calls. So we're doing 100% response. And that's, I'm proud to say that's pretty good for volunteers. Community risk reduction, safety messages in their flyers that was sent out with this packet. There was 3 flyers that included this month's safety message. They include kitchen heating and holiday safety. Some things that I wanted to point out was that cooking fires are our #1 location of residential fires, and Thanksgiving is actually the #1 day of the year. If you use a space heater, keep it at least 3 feet away from anything flammable. And if you use wood heat, make sure your chimney is clean and stove is checked. You get a lot of that. And most important, check your carbon monoxide detector. It is a silent killer. The holidays are upon us, involve candles, wreaths, and trees. We use caution, lots of water for the trees. Keep an eye on those wreaths and candles to make sure they're extinguished before you call it a day or night or leave the building. Equipment building updates, all hoses passed their annual testing. The county 911 dispatch is switching to a two-tone paging system. We had all of our pagers reprogrammed, and the new 911 dispatch program is gonna take off December 4th. This week, our repeater that's in Frankfort is they're gonna redo all of our pagers they finally got the repeater working, which has been gone now for 3 weeks, up and going, so because they got that problem fixed, but it means that our pages for our repeater have to be reprogrammed as well. So we're relying mainly in Frankfort and Alberta area, in some areas solely on our e-dispatch for communications and emergency. We're waiting for parts to come in for our deer damage that was done for medical. Waiting for Precision says as soon as they got it, it's all been taken care of by the insurance, and they proved everything going forward, so I'm just waiting for parts. And community relations and special events, we're continuing our attendance with school events and drills, so. As we did severe weather drill today. Any questions?
What's this, fire run cost recovery ordinance? It came in late, I don't know where it came from, is this yours?
The fire run cost recovery ordinance is, we have one in place, as a matter of fact. If there is a residential structure fire, we talk to each and every, if you look at your insurance bills on your house, they deduct fire coverage on that. Yeah, you don't know that, but cost recovery is aware of that, so we apply to them to go for cost recovery based on what you already pay your insurance for. It isn't a large amount, but of course, Liberty's come along, and the prime example was one of your residents here, had a pole barn, no, but that was in Gilmore. And he got Liberty, and he did not update any of his insurance. And it wasn't set to current inflation rates, and got to pick and choose what he wanted, so guess what? All the MG cars that he had that were special in there were basically lost. And the value of his pole barn cost him more than what his insurance paid. So he trimmed that out of there. He trimmed that out of it, and the fire department got absolutely nothing. We had 2 departments, they got nothing out of it for response, so.
But you didn't give us this?
The cost recovery?
No, I think the discussion a few years ago was that, their attorney told us in one of the meetings that we are, since we have a contract, we are automatically covered by that ordinance.
Right,
Yeah.
there's, I
That-
remember that, yeah.
That we did not have to pass our own ordinance to recover money.
Yeah, you're
Right.
enrolled under us.
Judy, you seem
It
to know
came
where,
in with when I questioned the MTA about the hazardous spill thing and how to publish it. That was one of the documents that she,
Process, probably IMTA, they'll give you the works.
okay, but we don't need this.
No,
Right.
You're
Doesn't
under
sound
our,
like
you're
it.
enrolled under our cost recovery.
Okay, so Crystal Lake Township doesn't need, okay,
So are the other townships, they're also enrolled under that cost recovery.
covered under Frankfurt.
Yep.
Okay, great.
Does the fire department, do any public education regarding like Turkey Day? I mean, you come here and tell us this Turkey Day is like the biggest day, but on the other hand, the fire department spend any money or any effort to educate the public.
Every one of the
about how to
meetings that
prevent fires at home.
Yeah, every one of the meetings that I go to, I send you copies of everything, and it's posted on our website, it's also posted, we've actually, all of our website, for the fire department, it's posted all about Turkey Day.
Right, but most people don't. I mean, they're not gonna look at the website.
And then
So is that all you do then? That's it?
social media, a lot of social media, we get out there, and then we also go to the schools, and I talk to the schools, I also talk to, I was surprised, like I said, when I went to the schools, and 4th graders that are cooking right now, that's scary, anyways, But I also, all the townships, they get copies of this, and then most of them say that they do take that information, I send and post it on their websites.
And that's what we did.
Yeah,
Alright.
so I mean, it's information like that that they're putting out there as much as possible, short of knocking on doors, handing them pamphlets. That's the best avenue I've got is.
So you weren't gonna do any surprise inspections on Thanksgiving?
No.
On how they're cooking the turkey?
No, you should have had, I think one of our postings says that on Monday or Sunday, you should have taken your frozen turkey out. And put it to thaw if you're gonna if you're gonna deep fry it, because otherwise it goes ugly.
That's the health part. We're gonna step over step.
But if you take a frozen turkey, put it in oil, bad things happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. Any other questions?
Thank you. Did you find that posting?
Oh, yes. So climb to 350, which is an aviation job board that advertises vacancies across the country. And then the other one was Michigan Association of Airport Executives.
Okay, thank you. And then now we're to public comment. Yes,
Karen Cunningham, 915 Elm Street, Frankfurt. Chief and I just came from the Frankfurt Council meeting. And they are discussing broadcasting their meetings, and I stood up in public comment, and I'm so proud of you guys for stepping up and doing this. Because I get a lot of comments from constituents where they don't understand, they mistrust, they, with whatever's going on and that's not accusatory at all, but for transparency and clarity. I always use you guys as a great example of coming forward with that and helping out your residents when they leave the area, that they can stay informed. You guys are my good poster child for that.
thank you.
So anyways.
Any other public comment at this time? All right, financials are next.
The reports are first.
Okay. I included the tax settlement for summer, just to give you guys an idea of where we were. So basically 96% of taxes have been collected at this point, going into the winter. And bills will be mailed out December 1st. Does anyone have any questions on the cash reports for each fund that were given?
I had a kind of unrelated but related question. Michigan class is where you said you put all the money possible to earn collective interest, right?
Mhm.
That is low risk,
Mhm.
but it's not insured. That's what I'm asking. I'm not telling you, I'm asking.
I'm pretty sure it's insured. It doesn't, FDIC is not applicable to that type of investment.
Right, so that's means it's not insured, right?
It is insured, but under different parameters.
Could you find that
I
for
will
us for
give
maybe
you, I will give
December?
you Angel's information and you can contact her directly with your questions. That would be easiest.
I think it'd be good if the
I
people that
don't know.
handle the money did it. So
But they're your questions and I want you to get the right answers. So I'll give her.
I wish you and Judy would do that, and thank you for doing the report. Any other questions for Brooke on that? You also gave us a motion for approval of a post office
Right.
total audit.
Something I have been talking with Derek, the auditor, about. Because payroll is not on the warrant report. And it's a good idea for everybody. These items do need to be voted on, actually. So I was going to, this is the first month out, so it's October. We have the payroll summary with everyone that was paid in the month of October and their wages. So that, let's see here. So therefore be it resolved that the Lake Township Board approves payment of salaries and wages per the township payroll summary report for October, which is attached, in the amount of $13,861.29. I so move.
Support.
I was just trying to think of ways to not have another layer of bureaucracy here. Is there some way that we can put that like on the warrant report?
No. There isn't. Because the warrant report is strictly accounts payables. The report is run in a different manner. Payroll summary, that's entirely different. And you've asked questions yourself on, from a cash activity report. For instance, direct deposit. Direct deposit leaves as a lump sum, so you'll see zeros for the employees that have their checks deposited. So there's no way, this is the best way to relay the information. I did try to skinny it down the best I could, but this is the only way to relay that info. So.
Okay, I'll have another question after we settle with this then. Any other questions? We have a motion and it's been seconded. Go ahead and take roll call, please.
Pop,
Yes.
Ferris,
Yes.
Van Meter, yes, Nielsen,
Yes.
Thank you. When you read other townships' reports, you know, their minutes, almost without fail, it says the board approved checks numbers through this number. Why don't we do that? Or is that something
Like
that
I
is?
said, our cash activity report is that report, but because we have direct deposit, you don't see the exact dollar figures for those checks.
Would it be easier to see it on our software if we use like BSNA rather than on QuickBooks?
No.
Yeah. Any other questions? Next is budget amendments. You said you sent us something.
Warrant report first?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, we were just talking about it. I thought we'd done it. Yeah, you're right. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
that's okay. We got 4 more bills in after the report was printed. One from Quill, one from West Shore Plumbing and Heating, one from the attorney and Coligo GIS, zoning something,
Is that the Tom's contour map maybe?
yeah. So, those totaled 2,007,
You got one shirking.
yeah,
Okay, that's it.
I'm sorry, the third one was what you said. Quill West Shore, oh, the lawyer.
yeah.
The attorney.
So the total for those additions is $2,717.52. And when we add it to the general fund subtotal, I'll call it, the new total for the general fund is $7,223.80. And then the cemetery fund total is $3,389.60.
And so
Okay, do we have support?
I will.
Okay. Any further discussion? Go ahead and take roll call.
Farah,
Yes.
Nielsen,
Yes.
Pop,
yes.
Van Meter, yes.
All right, and now amendments. Brooke, you had something?
I just pointed out to you that amendments need to be made.
And would you like to go ahead and make those two now?
I don't have a resolution.
How about if I say, whereas the Uniform Budgeting and Accounting Act, Public Act 2 of 1968 is amended by Public Act 220 or 621 of 1978, budget amendments must be properly accounted for in the township's changes in revenues and expenditures. Therefore, Crystal Lake Township desires to amend. Or no, that's another whereas. I'm making this up as I go. Whereas Crystal Lake Township Board desires to amend the fiscal year, it would be 23-24 operational budget to adjust expenditures resulting in the following. Let it be resolved that Crystal Lake Township Board authorizes expense item 228.000 information technology be raised to another $2,500 to a total of $12,500. And expense item, what would be public safety? That was 300-000 would be, let's see, raised to 105,756.34. That would be the money we just put out for the broadband. We had never originally budgeted that in as an expenditure, so we're putting that, but we're still keeping the 3,500 that we had originally. So it would be a total of 1,756.34 cents. With those two amendments,
Actually, two more need to be made. Up under general government supplies,
I'm sorry, general government supplies, okay,
so $19.05 has been spent. There was nothing budgeted for those lines. That line and the one below.
I thought that all general government is wrapped into one.
No,
Supplies don't come under general government,
those are individual line items.
but we only use general,
General government is everything underneath there, all of the expenditures.
okay, so we didn't expend any, but it's still not over the,
Because you didn't budget any.
okay, so before I understood that if we had a line item that it was for planning purposes, but we take money out of the general control as a mass pot of money, and that we don't have to account for it that way, that
That's fine.
or am I wrong? Tell me if I'm all ears, if I'm wrong. What was the other one that you said? Or that you were going to say?
Other services and charges.
And so you're just saying that both of those, why is it the minus 37.86? That's
I don't know.
you don't. Who knows then,
Right?
if you don't know?
Well, you could have checked also.
I'm trying to talk to the money person. Could we,
And I don't have QuickBooks in front of me, so I can't answer that question.
what do you wanna do about this?
It's your call.
No, you're the one who alerted me to this, and so I'm
Right.
trying to do it right. Could you help me?
I've offered to help in the past and it would be great. MTA has wonderful training.
So you're saying, no, I should get trained in this,
I
and
will
that you're not
help
gonna
you,
help me?
as I've always told you, when you get the training, I will help you.
Okay, Judy, you're in charge of the general ledger. Is there anything you wanna say? Okay, then my amendment stands as is. Rick, do you have anything to say?
No,
Roll call.
Do we have a second?
I think that, somebody seconded it. Am I
I
wrong?
didn't get
No.
it, I didn't get it. I
Okay,
did,
no, Sandra's saying nobody seconded it.
okay.
So is there a second for the information technology and the public
will.
safety?
I will second.
Okay, any further discussion? Roll call.
Ferris,
Yes.
Van Meter, yes. Nielsen,
yes,
Pop,
Yes.
Okay, so, that does it for finances. Anyone else? The next thing on the list is our reports. Next up is the airport.
Let's see here, any questions on the reports that were given, other than what we've already discussed?
Has Frankfurt ever paid, and has the county done it, or we're the only persons paying the 15,000?
Everyone pays the 15.
Well, as of last July, since July, I've been asking about this, and Frankfurt hasn't paid us.
It's the 3,000.
It's 3,000, so they are contributing the other 12.
15, correct, they are contributing 12.
It's the 3 that neither of them are, they're kind of saying that
It's
they,
only the city.
okay, the county has as well.
Well, the county is doing all of the bookkeeping, so.
So they say that because they're doing that, that they don't have to do the 3,000, okay. And then, anybody else upset that we found a lot out on in the newspaper that none of us knew? Or did you guys all know what came out in the newspaper?
No, I didn't hear anything. I don't get the newspaper.
So if you didn't get the newspaper, then you wouldn't know anything, because we are having trouble communicating here again with. You went to the county to ask for money, and everybody at the county knows about all this stuff. I didn't know anything about this. I find it personally embarrassing that people come and say, what do you think of all this? Or your representative voted for it, but the 3 said they didn't have any accountability, and it's like, I don't know anything about it.
I didn't know the date, to be honest with you. I wasn't given the date that he was doing that, so I couldn't have alerted you. And
How about just the issue?
I
Could you
think
tell us?
I think you were informed of the issue when Carrie Seitz came here and talked to you personally, you and Tom.
Carrie Seitz didn't come, the lawyer for the airport came.
Yeah.
That wasn't Carrie or Katie.
It was Carrie,
Oh, it's the same name?
yes.
Oh, I see, okay. And no, I didn't know that they had to go and borrow money.
We attempted to, we don't need to now.
Okay, but just so you know, she was very surprised when we said, we don't know any of the stuff you're talking about. She said, there's no reason that you shouldn't be able to know this. So-
And when you asked, I referred you to Corey, and if you didn't contact
Corey doesn't communicate either.
did you contact him
Yes, in the past I have,
recently, within the last 2 months?
not in the last 2 months.
Okay.
So I'm supposed to keep doing it every month and then
When it was-
get rebuffed every time?
As I explained to you, when it came to the legal issues, he was our contact person.
No, I'm talking about, there's stuff I understand that in the court you can't say, but how about all the rest of the stuff?
Which is what?
Well, should we read the article in public here? I mean, it talks about, provisional license.
Right,
And-
and you were aware of that.
I asked you before and you said you do have a
I
license.
explained that this last month, because we had a provisional general license, that's why we went to the meeting in Lansing
I'm sorry, when did you explain that?
last month.
All right, my fault then, if that's,
May I ask the commissioner something?
sure.
When was this meeting where this loan was turned down, or?
It was the 2 meetings ago, not the one last Tuesday, or the other one, 2 meetings ago. And Corey came and presented, and Dick Bayer was there also. And the question was, I don't want to answer too much, did that answer your question? It was a couple meetings.
No, I just thought that you would, help keep us informed of what that was in the paper, and, I never read that article. And so what was why did the county not do
Support
go that way?
or granted.
Granted or not,
Granted or not, it was, there were some questions that were brought up about liability. I am the liaison at the airport authority, but when they were talking legal issues, I was not included. I was asked to step out, so I didn't have all that information. all I said is if there's things I need to know, let me know. And apparently they weren't at decisions yet or anything. When Corey and Dick presented a couple Board of Commissioner meetings ago, they presented it in a way that said, we will be getting the money. It's just we're not sure if we're going to, and I'm making up right now, 1 month or 3 months, but we will get it. And so the question from Art Janat was, well, is the county going to be held, possibility of being held liable for paying fees in these cases? And at that point, it was all hypothetical. So there wasn't a real answer from my understanding, but I was not part of those meetings. And when you look at my report this time, I went back to Dick Bayer, the director, and said, you need to outline this for me. And then you were asking about the community benefits and everything. This was all information. I've got like 23 different points from him. And I says, well, this is information that I need to know. And I wanted to defend the airport by giving the information that they have. You know, it shouldn't be secret, it should be public, because it is an asset for our community. But back to your original question, I wasn't part of those meetings. And somebody else on the board questioned, they said, well, if you're the liaison, and I said, you should go into those meetings. And I said, no, if it's closed session, I said, just like here in commissioners, when we had a closed session, they said, you people come into closed session. And I trust that they know who needs to be there. When airport told me, if you don't mind, Commissioner, to step out, I stepped out.
Okay, I understand.
Yeah, so thank you for asking.
Another item that came up in the article is something that Josh said something to me about this a couple of years ago. He said, well, you know, Crystal Lake's not really a part of the airport. You don't really own a third of it. And I said, well, that was news to me. I didn't know that. And then he said, yeah, we're just, you guys wanted to be part of it, but you don't really own it. So you've got 2 seats on the authority and so forth. Well, in this article, it comes up again. I think that the 3 commissioners voted not to loan money to the airport authority, saying that they would be liable and that Crystal Lake's not liable, so that they would take on, let's say that the airport authority went bankrupt or it didn't pay back the money, then it would be all on the counties. And again, it brought up that subject, like where does Crystal Lake Township fit in all this? You know, maybe should we stop sending somebody to the authority? Are we not really a decision maker there? I don't know. I just don't know.
You're on the board and it is an authority, so you do have deciding.
Sound like it, but
There is a state statute that outlines, for community airports, it does outline the responsibility, liability wise. So, I trust that the county's attorney is probably looking into this. And we should probably do the same. And I'm pretty sure they will look at that statute and if you wish, so yes, there are 3 entities that are involved in the authority.
Correct.
And if one wishes to pull out, there will be liability, yes. I don't have the dollar figure, obviously.
there'll be liability for us.
Correct.
Yes.
Why would that? Because the county commissioner said that we are not liable and that,
I don't think everyone is quite aware of the state statute.
And I believe that's why Katie went to the legal and is asking those. Again, I'm not privy to that conversation or was involved in that. So I can't give you a direct answer on that.
Well, is that something that you guys could come back to the board with more information?
I don't know. I think each entity should do their own due diligence.
With their legal
Mhm,
team,
mhm.
I think.
But I'm talking about you guys though, I mean.
Oh,
And I mean, you're privy to going to these meetings and hearing this stuff.
right, except that I was excluded. I mean, I
Right.
can ask the
Now that
board
there's-
if I'm
Now that the
included.
consent judgment has been submitted to the court, I don't believe there'll be any more closed meetings, closed sessions.
Okay,
There has been a lot of questions about funding and we didn't have answers up until the time of the
Recently.
meeting on the 16th.
yeah,
And they're still not sure when they will be receiving funds. So,
but
yes,
it's going to be in. Well, this is
Well,
very
it-
hard to talk about.
it is.
It's going to be in payments,
The
right?
Pines won their case, right?
Correct.
And that was printed in the paper.
Correct.
So they
Wait,
were
wait.
awarded $3 million for
There's
their
no,
trees.
actually, there's no winning and losing. The consent judgment, because the Pines was a business, it took a little longer and some different parameters had to be used because the trees. So there's part 77 for MDOT and I think our tall structures, I get them mixed up. Anyways, because of the violations, a settlement had to be made so the trees could be removed. That took a lot longer than anyone expected. And of course, there are legal fees involved. So that has put a strain on the airport budget.
That's great, just share that. It's like a heads up, we might be heading for disaster. That's quite a
No,
large
there's no
settlement.
disaster. There's no disaster. They are currently looking for bonding, to obtain a bond. And, or if that doesn't work at this point in time, there is a payment plan that was sent.
That's what I understand.
See,
part
that's
of the
great
consent.
for us to know.
We only are
Found
just able to tell you this. It's not like I've been,
Right, and I didn't have that information either.
right.
Except the newspaper did. So just saying, I'd appreciate
And-
more communication.
So that interview was
Julie
with
wanted
Corey,
any.
and I strongly recommend contact Corey.
And I strongly recommend that our representative from the board come back to the board and tell us. And there's another one too that we've never heard from. Tammy's our other representative.
Yeah, well, I think maybe we ought to ask the, if Corey's the chair, ask him to attend one.
Yeah, you could do that.
One of these meetings? Oh, and present?
Yeah, just tell us, I mean, just give us a chance to ask any
Excellent
question we
idea.
want.
I'm sorry, Amy.
Because I remember years ago, when there was some talk about even closing the airport and then there, I believe that, there was a lot of money involved from the feds and the members of the authority would be liable to pay that back if the airport was closed, which includes us.
Right.
Correct.
That's what we need to
I
clarify.
think there's a 20-year look back for each grant, each year.
So
Just be great if somebody explained that all to us.
Right, it
has
doesn't
been
matter, you can't
explained.
change it, it is what it is, whatever happened in the past. And they got federal money and,
Right,
if
I
we don't
understand
follow
that.
certain rules, we have to pay it back,
Right,
and you and I can't change that.
right. Judy, do you know all this stuff?
I'm not participating in this discussion. Because of conflict of interest.
I don't think that you're getting a settlement prevents you from answering that question. I mean, are you feeling like you have enough information about what goes on as a township official? And we're supposed to be making decisions here, and maybe we're not, maybe we don't know. I'd like to know all this stuff. So if you can't answer it, maybe you guys invite somebody that can, because I'm worried that everybody on that authority should understand what's going on.
I like Frank's idea of having have Corey here on your agenda. Or a special meeting for you guys, however you want to handle it.
Yeah. I think you have a, board meeting that you missed. How do we get the minutes for that?
If you look at other minutes, you'll see that Mary Goethals does those. And they are on the, I'm told that they're on the county's website.
Oh, I think we looked and there's nothing on that website. So you can't get us those?
You can contact Mary if you like.
Again, you're the representative and you're saying no.
I could.
You could get them for us?
I'll give you her information.
Thank you. I think that's obvious. Anything else about the airport? Budget is next. You've got a timeline, that was passed, against my wishes and against Northway's wishes. Sue and Pop and, Nielsen all voted for this timeline, but I understood that this was like when you were in charge of this. This is actually not what MTA recommends. So we are going more slowly than this timeline. And if you'd like to see, I, have that in my whole thing with the supervisor's responsibilities. So, November, the board says it's supposed to be presented with a budget to discuss at the December meeting. I'd be glad to bring you something so that you can come back before the December meeting. But I need to have a lot more access to QuickBooks. I tried to get in there again. It said I needed to do updates, and with that, the whole thing broke down. It would update up to 25% out of 100% of updates and then just stop.
Then don't do the update.
I need somebody that's really familiar with QuickBooks. And in order to get the numbers in a timely way. And then, of course, what we're talking about is we're still a third of the year has to take place. December, January, February, March. So we trying to anticipate what our expenditures are gonna be is a little tough when you are only through 2/3 of the month or the year. Now, Rick, you always bring this up, and I'm guessing that you'll say this again, that we should just have a percentage, make this easy and just make a percentage up and be done with it.
Right.
I kind of like to have more figures than just doing that, but
Well, you didn't look at what you spent last year in all those categories.
yeah,
And-
it would be a year ago, not.
Yeah, right, but, and
not
then,
the
bump it up
current year.
20% when you're done.
So, I did get something from Brooke, and, so would you make a commitment? Elections, I think, are our big wild card, don't you think?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that almost everything else is pretty predictable and it's arguing nickels and dimes almost, but we don't have any other huge projects coming up. I did discuss with buildings and grounds, and there is some big chunk of money there. We're thinking about doing the HVAC system over, and that's $18,000 or $20,000. So, but anyway, Rick, if you've got anything with roads that you want to talk about, would you make sure you get together with me? And you with elections, and then planning and zoning, Bill, when he gets back, is gonna do the same.
But with the roads, I mean, that's not part of the general budget at all.
No, it's just part of the road budget, and you'll be going to the meeting, right?
Yeah,
So right now, we have what, a millage of 0.65,
0.65, yeah.
and I don't know if we'll have to change that or not, so you'll be back with me on
Yeah,
that.
I can get back to you on that. I mean, we don't even know now because we don't know what we want to do next year, because we're waiting to see how the new road surface holds up over the winter. So I'm not gonna have that. So if that's part of a budget, it just have to be amended if we decide to do something or we don't, we just amend it.
0.65 is for fire. The 0.65 is for fire and
Oh, you're right.
Yeah, Yeah, the road is different.
Yeah, that, I don't have that at my fingertips, but it's what, 6-7 or something?
9667 or something like that, it's 96, so.
Okay, elections next.
The November 7th election went very well, very slow. We only had 68 people walk in to vote. It was the slowest election I've ever worked since 1991. It was painfully slow. But with the absentee voters, we had 33% of our voters voted, which is pretty good considering it was just a road village. The election dates for 2024, we're going to have 3 elections next year. The presidential primary has now been scheduled for February 27th because the state legislature adjourned really early,
27th or 7th?
27th.
Yeah, okay.
And because proposal 2 passed last November, we are required to have at least 9 days and up to 29 days of in-person early voting prior to each state or federal election. And all of those qualify for that. So, the 9 days of in-person voting for the presidential primary begins on February 17th. So the week of February 18th, the township offices will be closed. And I checked with the Bureau of Elections on that and explained our layout and everything, because our desks are here and, you know, you're located there, people coming in to do work with the officers would have to walk through the precinct, the election precinct. And so it's not secure enough for the voters. And so they recommended closing the township offices during the 9 days.
That is huge.
I know it is. That's why I checked with them. And Tammy also agreed with the Bureau of Elections because she knows our layout.
That's true, we can't get around that.
No, and we've already started with the countdown to the February 27th election. We get a whole list of all the deadline dates. The first one was October 31st, so we're already gearing up for that. And we'll be having mandatory training because we have to have different training for the 9 days of in-person voting because things are all different. It's not the same process as on election day. August 6th is the state primary. And the 9 days of in-person voting starts on July 27th. So the week of July 28th, the township offices will have to be closed. And then the general election is scheduled for November 5th. And the 9 days begin on October 26th. So the week of October 27th, the township offices will be closed. For your,
I'm sorry, how do you run an election, when you're on the ballot? Let's say you run
I
on the
checked with
ballot.
the Bureau of Elections on that.
Yeah, and you're not allowed.
I can be in the basement. I can be in a whole nother room that has a door.
Cool, okay.
And if there
That's
are
good.
election issues, I'm allowed to come out and take care of just election issues and go back.
So you have
So,
to put a paper bag over your head.
yeah. I checked on that.
I have a question on your absentee ballots this last election. How many are there any that are rejected? Did you reject any? I mean, is it?
She was the chairman of our absentee county
I'm just
board.
curious on whether, you know, people do it. Are
We
they
had
doing it right?
one return blank, but it's still casted as a blank
All right.
ballot, but number rejected.
And we didn't receive them all back.
No.
We only got, what, 276 out of 326? Something like that. And two came in late?
Yeah, one came today.
Yeah.
I have a quick
Really?
comment on, so those 3 elections and the early voting runs into 3 of the board meetings that are gonna be looked at.
Well, I didn't even think about that.
Maybe if we switch to second Tuesday, it would alleviate that.
Well, that's on the agenda at the bottom.
Yeah, that's why I was just checking those dates and it runs right. All three elections run the same week as a board meeting.
We'll talk about that when we get to the
Yeah.
calendar.
Bring it up on it, yeah.
We've got another month to deal with the calendar. We don't have to decide.
And
that.
I checked with Tammy about, grant funds to cover the doors. And she sent me an email with the whole list of what's covered, and she said it wouldn't hurt to apply, so I'm pursuing getting reimbursed for the doors because they're for security. And the state legislature did pass a couple of, laws protecting election workers from harassment, and I imagine it's more downstate than it is here. But the one thing that we're gonna have to watch out for, in 4 or 5 states for this past election. They received a letter in the mail
With white powder.
but it had fentanyl in it. So, and it was addressed to the clerk and for elections, so it won't affect like the election workers.
No, but
I know, the two of us, you know, will have to pay attention. And the Secretary of State sent it around, so they must be expecting next year to be a bit snarky. I mean, I don't know. And Sandra and I attended the demonstration at the new upgraded tabulator and voter assist terminal. And the representative from Election Source said there was still a lot of the $30 million grant money left. So we're also going to get a new voter assist terminal and a new printer. And during the elections, we can use those for the ballot on demand process.
I know, I was told about that today. That's pretty
Yeah,
nice.
it's pretty slick. I mean, we gotta learn how to do it. But normally Tammy has to estimate how many paper ballots we're gonna need. And this way, we can just print them as somebody wants a ballot.
And they always have this many ballots that they throw away.
Yeah,
And it's the expense of that.
yeah. So, and with the early voting and the absentee and the in-person voting, you know, the regular election day, the guy said that Tammy should estimate 3 times what she normally does for each municipality. So she was kind of hoping that we would do the ballot on demand thing. We hadn't considered it at first, but we're going to. And what?
Save a tree.
Yes, save trees. And at the next clerk's meeting on December 4th, our new tabulators will be ready for pickup and possibly our new laptop. Because we have to use separate laptops for the 9 days versus election day. Any questions?
I have a couple of quick things. I can put these on the internet too. We had total registrations were up by 74 people in every township except ours, Benzonia, Blaine, and Frankfort. So that's but county-wise, more people registered by 74 votes. Overall voter turnout for Benzie was 25%. The highest was Lake Township at 38. The lowest was Colfax at 7%. There are 3 townships with something other than just the road commission on millage on it. And they had turnouts of 30, 36, and 26. I mean, all these are great numbers for a little thing. And the road commission millage passed by a 3-to-1 margin. I don't know if you knew that, Rick.
Yeah.
I thought that was a pretty nice margin. So
Well, and I expect an increase in voter registrations for all 3 of the elections next year, especially the presidential primary.
you have 2 motions that you're gonna get to then?
I guess I'll just read the whereas, and then you guys can ask me any questions. This is a resolution to purchase a secure case for our ICX Classic and printer, which is the voter assist terminal and printer that we have right now. Whereas Michigan election law provides for election officials their powers and duties, and whereas the 2022-2 Promote the Vote initiative was passed by electors as a Michigan constitutional amendment, and whereas proposal 2 implementation laws include tighter security and safety of equipment and supplies for early voting and election day, including tabulators, ICX, Classic, and printer ballots, etc. And whereas a case is available from election source to secure, protect, store, and transport the township's Dominion ImageCast X Classic Voter Assist Terminal and accompanying printer. And therefore be it resolved, the Crystal Lake Township Board approves the purchase of an ImageCast X Classic Voter Assist Terminal case from election source, cost not to exceed $700. I so move it.
Do you have support?
I
Any further questions? Roll call when you have it.
Nielsen,
Yes.
Pop,
yes.
Ferris,
Yes.
Van Meter, yes.
Okay. Oh, I think I've lost the other one. Oh, the credit card. Yeah, that's it. Okay.
This is a resolution to amend the township credit card policy. Because we had some unexpected election expenses and, one of the staff had to use their personal credit card because we didn't have, the policy didn't allow for election related expenses. Whereas the revised statutes of 1846, chapter 41, authorize the township board to conduct business, approve and pay claims against the township, and Public Act 266 of 1995 states a township board may enter into a credit card arrangement to enable township personnel to use a credit card to make township payments, and a resolution was passed by the Crystal Lake Board assigning the township clerk as the responsible officer for administering the credit card issuance, including issuance, accounting, monitoring, retrieval, and overseeing compliance with the credit card policy. And whereas with the passage of proposal 2 of 22 came additional election expenses, including but not limited to postage, supplies, etc. And whereas the township credit card policy allows for a credit limit of $2,500 and board pre-approval for purchases over $500, except for emergencies. And then those must be ratified by the board as soon as possible after the charges are made. Therefore, be it resolved, the Crystal Lake Township Board affirms the changes to the credit card policy to include the credit limit increase to $5,000 and board pre-approval for purchases over $500, except for emergencies or election-related expenses. And they still must be ratified by the board as soon as possible after. I so move.
Is there support?
I support.
Any discussion? Roll call?
Van Meter, yes. Nielsen,
Yes.
Ferris,
Yes.
Pop,
Yes.
All right, thank you. Any other questions for the clerk and elections? Second thing, thank you, is the IT resolution about the .gov domain. And I'm not gonna read all of that, but there, let it be resolved that Crystal Lake Township shall commence immediately to transition from Gmail to the new .gov site and email address. There was an article on the back of that resolution, and then also, Brian, you said that when you looked it up and so forth, that they are paused right now until January.
They're rewriting their whole system, so they're not gonna relaunch until January. So in January, we'll apply for the .gov, and that will be for the website and also for our email extension.
before it cost money, now they're, the government is recognizing that it's a cyber problem with us doing Gmail and all that, so they've waived the cost of it.
It
It's
was
free,
$400 a month.
so. I so move. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? Roll call?
Yes.
Dan Meter, yes. Ferris,
Yes.
Nielsen,
Yes,
All right, thank you. Next is planning and zoning. There was some new legislation concerning solar and zoning. And, I think that if we have further questions about that, we'll wait for Tom to come back and explain it to us. Is that all right? So I'll ask him if there's anything further. He, I think, sounds in his message that I copied on the back, like it's a moot point. It doesn't really apply to us, but we'll make sure that that's the case in December's meeting. And that's solar zoning, okay. And then, he also gave us an email today about his budget and invited comment about spending $600. I don't think there's anything we need to do about that, though. I think he's trying to procure his contour map, right? So if you interpret it the same way, we won't deal with that now.
didn't we already,
Yes.
by consensus at a previous meeting? say
Yeah,
It was,
So I'm
okay,
not sure why you brought it up again.
okay.
So, there was also an RV park bond, and that was part of our, correspondence. And I sent that immediately to Tom, and he said, I gotta deal with it. There are things still that are not included that he needed to go over with the RV park owner. So that, I just wanted you to know, we originally thought that it would be an action item, but it's not. We have to wait for Tom to get back to us and
is
tell
that
us.
in our packet here?
Yeah, it's under correspondence.
No.
It's on the back of,
It's the bank that actually called us and said that the RV park owner wants to stop putting money in an escrow account, I guess, for a bond. And he wants his money back, not being held by the bank. So I don't know anything about it. It's Tom's purview. Roads are next.
Well, we already discussed this in the past, that we are gonna do the aprons on Marquette Court and Birchwood Terrace next spring. And Troy Hines, who's the new manager there, is estimating that the total amount that we'll need for that is $5,400. That's their estimate. And what'll happen is that they'll put that out, they may put that out for part of a bid package, or they may just decide to do it with their own staff. I don't know, it's up to them. Decide who's gonna do it. That's just an estimate, and the final amount will be, could be higher or lower. But we do need to probably vote to proceed to have these roads done in the spring, the aprons done on those two roads. And then send this back, fax this back to the road commission, the signatures on it. And then eventually in the spring, we'll get another estimate. And I don't know why they keep doing this, but they'll send us another estimate. And we'll approve that, and then after the work is done, we'll get a bill. And then we have to pay that. But we have, every year the county gives every township so many dollars, approximately $5,000, $6,000, $7,000, that we can decide what we want to do with it. And we're using that money, which has accumulated to about 25,000. We're using part of that to pay for this. So we're not using the road fund, and we're not using, the county's not doing this all on their own. For example, there's a local road committee meeting going to be set up pretty soon, where we've sort of discussed what roads the county wants to do countywide, and we have a say in that. And some years we get some of our roads done, and some years we don't get anything done. but everybody has their input and then they vote on it at that meeting. So I'll attend that, but this money here, we have just, it's something that they did a few years ago that, where we've accumulated about 25,000 that we can use for whatever we want.
See, I didn't know that we had it's like a pot of 25,000 that's accumulated, that's set aside just for us. They
Yeah.
keep it,
It's been about probably 3 years.
Okay.
It's only maybe $5, $6, $7,000 a year. But, we didn't
adds up to
use
25.
it when it was so small because we had the road millage and that brought in $180,000 a year. And, we wanted to accumulate this just in case. For example, if we had
It's a nice buffer, yeah,
it's just a buffer, but we need to spend it. We might as well spend it if it's there.
so do you make a motion?
Yeah, make a motion that we approve the authorized, Benzie County Road Commission to proceed with,
There's two sides, right?
yeah. To proceed with that and, I-212 and, I-425. That they proceed with this in the spring using, and they actually list on one side, I think, local road construction authorization, so they know we wanna pull the money out of that fund. Yeah,
Okay, and do they have on this?
no, they don't know anything,
So it's over $10,000.
right, it's $5,000, no more than that for each road.
So both of those together equal $10,637.50.
Right. That's just an estimate, but we just, the reason that they want us to just have the board approve doing it, so we know that they can put it on their schedule, they don't want a verbal,
Right.
going.
Where it says under location above, it says we'd only be providing 50% for approximately $2,700. So it's about 5,000 or 6,000 total, right? It's not,
Yeah, right, but I'm not sure that they are talking about changing all that.
and then the other side, it says, for Birchwood, because it's not a county road, we would be. So we're actually talking about 5425 plus 271250.
Right, but they're in the process, they've been in the process of changing their requirement for the townships to kick in money, and made that 50% may go away. Or they may keep it.
Or we sign it well before they can change their mind.
Well, that's a good idea to get it in, but regardless, we have 25, 26, every October we get more money in there, so. We have probably, we might very well have 30,000 in there right now, so we got more than enough to do this. And keep the people that live on those roads happy. And it'll be safer when you pull out into M22, you don't have to spin your tires to get going on that road.
So actually, the motion should be
Well, the motion is what's on this paper.
for $8,137.50.
Yeah, if you want to, yeah, right.
I support the motion.
Well, it could change,
Anybody,
so.
we got support. You moved it. We corrected the number. She supported it. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Harris,
Yes.
Van Meter, yes. Bob,
Yes.
Nielsen,
Yes,
Okay, thank you.
at least the people that live on that area will know if they read our minutes that we approved that and it'll be done in the spring.
Okay,
I make a motion to appoint Dr. Nielsen to the, is it the road,
It's the local road committee
local road committee?
to represent Crystal Lake Township.
I'll support that. Any discussion? I think you're doing a good job bringing us back, information. I appreciate that. Okay. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed.
And ask the clerk if they can do, when they send that confirmation I'm doing the roads back to the road commission. Can you send a little spiel that I was appointed to let them know?
Sure, I can add that.
I just need to
Field,
let them know. that we
That-
have some, because they're supposed to let me know that when they haven't decided when the meeting is yet.
okay. Will do. End of roads, on to unfinished business, security code to doors, you wanted to bring that up?
When we originally had our security meeting in July, consensus was to not give the new door code out to like delivery people, like UPS. And we've discovered that really
It's a big inconvenience.
it is, because then we've had to have things delivered to our homes and that's just ridiculous. So I think we would like to give the security code to the UPS driver.
Do you have to have a motion for that, or should we just by consensus give you permission to do that? Because you're the one that actually,
I think.
We're the
by
one that wanted it
consensus.
in the first place, okay? Does anybody have any objections to that? All right, let's just consider it done then.
And when do those codes go out?
When do we change them?
Yeah, when are you gonna change?
We don't know. We don't have a special schedule.
Okay, I didn't know, I mean,
We had, I think Marv, the assessor's birthday for about 10 years.
but he's dead now, we can't
Yeah.
rely on.
We finally said, hey, he's dead, time to change the
He's got a
code.
road named after him.
Yes, he does. Okay, next is the attorney search. We've got somewhat of a pickle here. Who wants to start discussion about this?
Well, I mean, my feeling about all this is that I was authorized by the board to proceed with like getting a list of possible law firms that could represent the township. And I decided, after looking at the list and Googling a few things, that this was not the way to go. And the way to go would be to use the MTA's community forum to place,
You decided that?
yes, and I think I have the authority from the board to do that. Now, if you disagree with that, because you sent me a cease, you told me a couple of weeks ago to cease what I'm doing.
No, I did that to the clerk, to the treasurer, not to
Well, it went
you.
me. Well, it went to me, I saw it somehow.
It was copied to you.
Okay.
That's different,
So
yeah.
my opinion is I have the authority, and if someone did, if you want me to cease doing what I'm doing, then make a motion, let's have the board. I want the board to officially approve what I'm doing, we'll
Right,
not.
and we did at the end of that meeting. So we got it straight. I even asked about RFPs and you said, nope, I just wanna call and talk to him. So
No, I-
that's what everybody understood
No.
when the board left.
That's not what I understood.
It's recorded.
No.
You can look in
I don't
the-
care if it's recorded or not, I'm not gonna, you weren't interested in doing any of this. And you're not gonna micromanage what I'm doing, and I want the board to
The
officially,
board is going to micromanage if it has to.
no,
Yes,
the board.
because
can
the board
micromanage.
acts as a unit. And so don't get like it's you against me. It's not that. It's a whole board decision. And that's what the board agreed to.
No, the board. didn't
And
vote
that's
on
what the
it. That's
board
RFP.
agreed to. And if you went off on your own, but that's not the point. The point is that you didn't do it. The treasurer did it.
No,
Yeah. It was her thing on the community connection, asking for an RFP.
no.
And that's what our attorney saw.
No, I asked her to, since she had a login to there, to go ahead
You
and
can
post
log in.
something.
You're,
I know, but I
you're
didn't
a
know that.
person
I
in
never
charge of
logged-
this.
Maybe I can, but I've never done it. I've never logged in. And I thought I had to have a login, or the township had a login or whatever. But anyway, an RFP.
So you're upset that I was helping him? Is that
I'm
what the
upset that we left it with instructions that we were not gonna do the RFP, that you were just talking to the guys and seeing if they were
I'd have to
interested.
listen to the tape. I'm not aware of anything on there that says that I can't do that.
I can quote you back. Would you like the Would you like me to
Well,
quote you?
it doesn't, okay, it doesn't matter.
Okay, it does, but
Well, it is what it is right now. We have a bunch of RFPs.
well, the RFP went out and nobody else knows what the RFP says. It was just given to us.
No, the
that's not
RFP is a standard suggested RFP that the MTA puts out.
No, it came from Municipal League. It wasn't from MTA.
Well, it's on their website.
It's not from MTA though. I mean, didn't you go on the Municipal League? Isn't that what it's called?
No.
Okay, so, and when you have that, just like when, we had the criteria before, Tom and I didn't
You
go out
didn't
and make
share.
that up.
You didn't share that with us. And I have the minutes from that meeting. So in November 2018. And then the following meeting, you decided, you totally decided who our new attorney was going to be, and you brought it forth.
And it
So-
was voted on from in the township, doesn't do anything that the board doesn't authorize it.
So the board never authorized criteria then.
How do you know that?
I read the minutes.
It doesn't have anything in there. I did,
Exactly.
I said it too. I mean, I read it too. It doesn't say you authorized it or you didn't authorize it. It was shared though. Tom and I didn't go
No,
out.
it was not shared.
Well, the minutes doesn't reflect that, but it doesn't say it wasn't shared. So there are things in the minutes that don't take it word for word. And Tom and I didn't go out on our own and make that criteria up and then come back and say, this is who we're hiring. This was a board
Then
decision,
give me
and that's
that
my point
criteria.
here. That's my point here. It has to be a board thing.
It's a board decision for which law firm to hire.
It's also a board decision about what our criteria is.
No, I.
You didn't
disagree.
ask me
I
what
dis-
my criteria
Well, I
was.
disagree with that because the RFP is just it's just to find out who's interested in providing, legal advice to our township. And the board would want a law firm that can provide.
The board would want that? You didn't ask
No,
the
no, no,
rest of the board.
would want a law firm that could provide any legal advice the board directed them to do. We wouldn't want a law firm that couldn't handle everything. So that RFP is just to attract law firms to say they're interested, and that starts the process. The process is simple. We have 4 or 5 firms that are interested. And my idea would be that I would, after we even got one in today, that I would contact them individually and discuss with them in more detail, you know, what our interests are, and then try to wean the numbers down and present to the board maybe 2 choices. And then the board can decide what they want to do at that point.
I think that that's what we said you were gonna do last time. So if, let's say, you say you're gonna do that this time, how do we trust
We
that that's
don't know.
what you're
Okay,
gonna do?
I'm gonna make a motion that the board direct Dr. Nielsen to proceed with his efforts to find legal representation for Crystal Lake Township.
I support.
We're missing a
Well,
Member.
I mean, what is?
discussion at this point. I would really expand the committee. If Brooke wants to be a major player in this, then she should be on the committee. Don't you think? So we know who's doing what. And that if we direct as a board, the committee to do something, then nobody's going off by themselves. It's part of the committee. And also, I think we need to expand the committee. Because, you know, you guys were supposed to get together, you and Bill, didn't do it for a month and then
No.
another month. And then this has happened. So how about if we get still more people on the committee?
Well, I think it's hard. You get too many people. The point is, all we're trying to do is to get all the information to me to look at and try to talk to them verbally and then try to wean out some of them and then report back to the board as a whole. What I might recommend would be these 2 firms. And then the board will decide if they want to pick somebody that night or they want to perhaps bring them in for an in-person interview or whatever. But I don't think you need, for preliminary steps, you don't need a big committee.
Well, I would have appreciated if you got input from us for an RFP. Like, are we looking, what is it that we want? What are we looking for? Because how can you winnow it down as a committee if you don't know what the board wants?
I know, the board, what I will tell these firms is, anything the Crystal Lake Township Board wants legal advice on, they need to be prepared to give it. So that just opens the door to anything. So the board is the only one that can direct them, and we want them to be able to, I wanna make sure when I talk to them, that they can provide service, legal advice on municipal issues, on whatever, I mean, on zoning and whatever, on anything. So you don't need, the RFP is so broad that it doesn't mean anything. All it does is bring in, are you interested or
That's
not?
a pretty broad RFP that you were using.
It is, that's right, there's a reason for it, we want it to be broad.
And I'm suggesting the things that we talked about before. Do we want local? Do we want them to be able to come here in a moment?
Well, that's what I-
Do we want a large committee, a large firm?
I'm
Or
aware,
do we want just a
Dennis
specialized firm?
already told me all that, so I'm gonna take
No,
that into account.
No, I'm the only one that said it. We
I
haven't
know, but you're
decided
part of
as
the
a board.
board.
Yes, but I'm only
I
one person.
understand that.
Okay.
We've had discussions on this about, maybe we don't want a local firm, maybe we want a larger.
Maybe
firm.
we do. And so that's what you were only gonna talk to them, and then we were gonna go back to the drawing board and come up with what our criteria was. Now, Tom and I had criteria, but nobody can find that we had it written down. Neither of us could find it.
Well, that was back in 2018.
Maybe.
Well, that's too,
Not
I
even
mean,
sure.
we're talking about, let's get
Okay,
something
so
done.
that's why it was not shared. I mean, we said we'd try to find it, but Tom was saying,
Since
I
you're
don't
very
know.
happy not to do this, why don't you make a motion telling me to cease my efforts to find legal representation?
We've got a motion on the board.
I withdraw my support if you withdraw your motion.
What do you want? She's,
Okay, I'll leave the motion on the floor, I want you to vote on it.
okay,
It doesn't help to discuss it anymore. Let's just vote.
it behooves us to discuss if somebody on the board wants to continue this.
Well, you continue it then, just let me know.
So, could you repeat your motion?
My motion is, I want the board to, I make the motion that Dr. Nielsen should proceed with his efforts to find legal representation for Crystal Lake Township.
And Brooke, you supported it.
I did.
Okay, any further discussion? Why don't we take, just a hand vote? All those in favor, say aye. Aye, all those opposed. Okay, I'm gonna do another motion, and this is my suggestion, that we, find more persons to be on the committee. How about if we add 2 more people?
Well, we could, but if I recall at the last meeting, that nobody volunteered to be on it, I was the only one left.
I found a constituent that is a lawyer, and he is anxious to contribute something to the township. So I thought about him and I called him and he said he would be willing to serve. And it looks like Brooke wants to serve.
I don't have any objection to Brooke or that lawyer wants to be part of this. I just don't want it to get too large that we can see if I go talk, I mean, I'm gonna call these people up. And talk to a lawyer and, I need to have some.
Well, we just gave you that. So you've got it.
Right, but it's hard with 2 other people because they're not talking to them, they're hearing my report. And if you get too many eggs in the basket, you'll never get anything done.
I just thought somebody who was an attorney might have some insight that the rest of us might not.
Well,
So that's, I'm gonna move that we, at least invite, David Spriggins, retired attorney who's here in Frankfurt, as to join the committee. Actually, I don't think I even need to move it because we didn't move. We just appointed the committee last time. It wasn't a big motion or anything.
well, I think
Can we
need to-
just reach consensus to invite
No, I
this
think we need to
attorney?
Vote on everything here, it seems to be an issue.
Can I ask you how to spell his last name?
Yeah, it's Spragens.
Spragens.
Thank you.
He volunteered to clean up day for the last 3 years.
Okay, all right.
See, I would.
Do you want you want a motion then?
Yeah,
Okay, I move that we invite him to be on the committee to help Bill and Rick. Do I have support?
Well, I don't know if Bill's even on the committee.
Right, no, Bill wasn't.
Bill's not on the committee.
Yes, he is.
No, he was supposed to, we were
Yes,
supposed
he
to work
is.
together, we never did, he never got back to me at
Right.
all.
He's not on the committee.
He is on the committee, remember? You were the one that said that you hadn't heard from him, and so everything came to a halt. He's the one that went off and talked to a couple of attorneys already.
We're gonna determine who's on the committee or not. So this is ridiculous.
What am I out to lunch? We talked to Bill and Rick as the committee before, and you said you hadn't met with Bill. The committee hadn't met.
I exchanged texts with him, and then he said he was gonna talk to his lawyer and get some, but he never did, he never did
Right,
anything.
he
The last
responded
thing I
to-
heard,
He was the committee with you.
No, no, he wasn't.
Yes, he was.
It was just, I
Thank
said
you.
I would talk to him, that's all, that we would
She
meet, that's all,
confirms,
it's not
so-
a committee, it never was a formal.
The original committee was you and Northway.
Can we amend the motion then? And I'll
Sure.
say that it's, the committee will now be Bill, Rick, and David. Do I have support for that? There's no support for that?
I support.
Thank you. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed?
Opposed.
Judy?
It dies either.
It's gonna fail anyway, but
Okay.
but you need to vote.
Yes.
So it's 2-2, it fails. We'll try this again when Bill gets back, because this is just crazy.
No, you can't keep trying the same motion.
Sure I can, watch me. So, okay, I wanna go on the record saying that I really think it was a horrible, horrible offense to our attorneys to read that. I got the phone call early next morning. I had read your posting on the community connections the night before, and it came as a surprise to them that this is where it was. I had told him that people were displeased and so forth, but he really said he was done dealing with our board, and I think that's really significant to put on the public record here. It's really sad. He said, you guys are so dysfunctional, we don't want to deal with you anymore. That's really horrible news. Do you think we should write him a note of apology for the offense?
I do.
What do you two think?
Well, I mean, you've communicated to him multiple times, and every board member has agreed that he's not the right law firm for our
No,
township.
that's not agreed.
No, I think everybody has said they're concerned about it,
There was concern, yes.
concerned, and you were concerned about, should we have a bigger firm and stuff like that, so there's been comments made that suggest that the board is unhappy with the services they've been providing in a timely manner. So, I mean, and I think he's jumping the gun by resigning abruptly. He's the one that's jumping the gun. We
Well,
didn't
so
fire him.
what does that translate, for my question? Are we supposed to not send him a letter of apology?
No,
Okay, so it's 2-2 again? Brooke,
Sure, fine.
you,
I would like to read it before you send it.
all right. I will have that for us by the next board meeting. Let me just make a note of it.
I would like to say that when I review the ones that we had, it might behoove us to have a special meeting. And this is a holiday week, so it's gonna be hard to get hold of people probably, but we might wanna have a special meeting to discuss the ones that come in and give the board a little bit of feedback on the firms that I think might be appropriate, rather than wait a month. I don't know, I mean, how,
Well, it's you and Bill, so as soon as you guys can do that, that would be good.
well, Bill's not on the committee.
Currently he is.
I don't think.
If you need help, let me know.
Moving along here, the hazardous spill expense recovery thing, it was in error and I left the template and I left resolution at the top. I had made it clear that it was a ordinance. Did you type this up? Did you type that up, Brooke?
I might have, I don't know.
I didn't.
Well, Brooke, did you?
I can't remember if I typed this up or not.
Could you send me, who put this together? There's also this stuff. Is that yours?
It was all in the comment drive.
That came with the MTA response to my query on how to publish the resolution from last time.
Okay,
She bombarded us with a whole bunch of documents, and that was one of them.
so nobody knows where this came from.
I probably did, but I don't know, so.
Okay, so this is what we're redoing. It was a technicality before, because it had resolution at the top. So at this point, this is exactly what the lawyer, again, told us to do. It says section 1, section 2, except the title up here, it says it's the ordinance, not a resolution. So we're just gonna do this again, and then we're gonna get this in the paper ASAP. So the township of Crystal Lake ordains that we repeal the hazardous spills expense recovery ordinance being ordinance 2000 number 1, and is hereby repealed in its entirety. The effective date, section 2, is this ordinance shall become effective the day following its publication in the newspaper of general circulation in the township. Ordinance, and then you're gonna have to fill all that in, Judy, as we go. I so move, I guess is how you say this, motion by Ferris, second, anyone?
I support.
And discussion, anyone? Roll call when you are ready,
Okay, it doesn't have roll call on there.
yeah.
Nielsen,
Yes,
Ferris,
Yes,
Yes.
Van Meter, yes.
okay, and absent is, yep. Okay, thank you for making that poll there, I appreciate that. The Lakeview Drive. As soon as we left the October meeting, you had said that that was your priority. So I immediately sent him an email and I said, this is the priority. This is the next thing you need to get us. He got it to us. And I sent it immediately to Tom, who said that it was still not right. It still needed to be strengthened. So it is not here. But Tom has it, and Tom didn't come tonight again, so we can't discuss this. But I think we're being charged for it. I think it was on the invoice. So whatever he gave us, I think is ours.
He did state that he wasn't charging us for ordinances unless we adopted them.
Except I think he did, I think it says Lakeview on the invoice.
It could have been the work. he
Did I
put into
screw
it.
that up? I thought maybe I may have read that wrong.
Says review consent judgment and prior ordinance concerning Lakeview Drive. Prepare a new ordinance, email to township clerk with new ordinance with copy to township supervisor, township treasurer and zoning administrator.
So I think
510.
yeah, I think we did pay for it. So Tom is strengthening it and recommending it, and he'll bring it back next month maybe. So we're trying to get your priority done.
no, I understand that. I mean, it's not my priority, it's a substantial number of people that live in the township want something done.
Yep.
And I just want to make sure that they feel that we're paying attention.
Okay, so even though it has an underline and it's got an asterisk, that didn't happen tonight. Nuisance and noise and dangerous buildings. I talked, because both you and, well, several people on the board, I think, and Tom said that we don't have the enforcement to do with dangerous buildings. And then the nuisance, Brooke said she regretted ever voting for one and she didn't want one at all. And so I called Height, I think is his name, he's the building inspector for the county. And I said, what does the township do? You know, we've got dangerous buildings, hazardous buildings out there. We are a mess over here about enforcing blight, even having a blight ordinance. And he said, the county is never going to take over enforcement for you. Now, I've had a call into Katie sites repeatedly for almost 3 weeks now, and we have not connected. So I wanted to confirm that with her. But he said what you could do, because wasn't there a concern that if we send like a Grant Sawa over to a dangerous building to figure out whether it's dangerous or not, how would he know? And so Height said, you can hire me. You can hire me through the county, and we can set this all up through Katie's Sites so that you pay me some sort of stipend or one of my guys who are licensed by the state, and therefore they would know what they're talking about, and they would go with you. And if they didn't think it was dangerous and needed to be condemned or cited for a, violation, then they would say so. But if they are the authorities. So that's what I'm reporting back on.
But the problem with that is that even if they say they condemn it, no one enforces it. The county won't enforce it.
Well, we would enforce it because they said that every township is supposed to take care of this, not the county.
But we don't know how we can't enforce anything. So.
Well, isn't that what, with the whole reason we went through and listed all the ordinances so we could get this, so that
That's
it
right,
was.
and that's why we need better lawyers to get it done in a timely manner.
But I guess it all depends on whether we want at the end to enforce this. I think that the blight and dangerous buildings are important. We've had another board member maybe say no. But I'm just reporting to you what I'm doing. There were concerns voiced by the board, and so I've pursued them.
I'm not against any ordinance as long as there's some way of enforcing it. I don't wanna pass ordinances and we don't do anything about it.
Well, I think we could have done something about it, but yes, that is what we're doing. I think you're on the same page that I am. That's what we're doing. We're going through all these ordinances to make sure they're enforceable. So that's the update for those.
Could you tell me again who you spoke with?
Does anybody know who the building inspector, Height, I think it's HITE. I can look it up. And I will get you that name. So name of building inspector.
I just wanna spell it right.
Yeah. Okay. Done with the ordinances at this point? Next is policy and procedures, chapter 6, and job descriptions. I want to remind everybody that we are really hung up on all this stuff, and that Judy agreed that maybe in January we can start on this. Is that still the commitment?
I would have to look at this deadline thing for elections.
Because also you volunteered to do the contracts with me.
Yes, I did
So-
review those. You're in my bag.
Good. So we need to get those started. Job descriptions, I want to remind you that the state audit and back, was it in 19? Recommended that we do this. We've implemented a lot of their other recommendations for internal controls. This is one of their recommendations we haven't touched yet.
As is cemetery sales and collection policy.
Let's do it.
Go for it.
So, those are slated to still be taken care of, but I just wanted to make sure that the board is still on board, so to speak. New business, we've got the calendar.
Do we want to put this up until you can look at it for a minute? We
What,
can
the
revisit the
calendar?
calendar next month.
I think-
Which meetings conflict with the 9-day thing?
All three of them.
The
So-
20th, wait,
February 20th, June 18th, November 19th. I have to go back and double check my notes.
So if we do it the Tuesday prior,
I think that, I'd still like to see us move it back, all meetings to the second Tuesdays.
so
And then
February 20th.
Several other people said a different time as well.
13th.
Second Tuesday for border commissioners, we're going to have the days.
Second Tuesdays too, we were thinking it would relieve you from Frankfurt.
And then
So can we talk about this and set this and talk about it, come back in December?
Yes.
Okay. Calendar. Put it on December. Great.
One of the problems with having it the second Tuesday is we don't have all the bills in to put on the warrant report.
Right.
I mean, we didn't this
what,
time
we
either,
received
but.
4 today, so.
Well, don't they come in just regularly and there's gotta be a cutoff sometime and then it's always gonna be more.
We usually catch all of them at this point, the third Tuesday.
I think we've had an addition every single time. So, and Iron Man is next, almost immediately after the last Iron Man, rumor was out and then later confirmed that Frankfurt had signed on for another year. So I don't know what that means for us. Will we go through this again, that we have to give them permission? As a board, do we want that again, et cetera? So, I'm gonna maybe put Bill on that because he was, our liaison last time. Is anybody else interested in it? Rick, did you, do that this year?
What?
Iron Man.
No, I didn't, no, but I think it's, I mean, I think it's a good thing to have. It's a minor inconvenience for most people, and I think it does, promote the local area, and I would hope that we would support it.
All right, so we'll maybe, put that on, December's calendar as well. The 429s, controversy about that reared its ugly head again, and, so I need to get with the clerk. You wanna say something about that, treasurer? No?
I would like to say that the only thing I want is to know when, at what meeting during the year are we gonna direct the clerk and the supervisor to fill out the sign the 429, which has to be approved by the board. And is that gonna
Okay.
be done in what month? Just so I know, because it's like the road, you know, what are we gonna set the fire millage at, or when, or whatever.
The deadline's September 30th, isn't it?
Is it-
You can assign it anytime after the first week of June and September 30th.
Okay, I'm just asking, I just would like to know, have us pick one so we can decide how much to ask for. And the Frankfurt's fire thing, what they charge us is their fiscal year ends June 30th.
I think you're maybe right there.
So
My
I think
memory
we
serves
wanna probably, I mean, we'll know what how much exactly it is by June 30th. They're gonna give us an estimate much before that, but we won't know the exact amount, so we probably ought to pick like August or something to decide.
All right. Headley? This is a big one. It's coming towards the end. I'm sorry about that. The county, and was in your packet. The county sent us a template and I used that template and basically came up with this, filled in. So it says basically that, Crystal Lake Township Board of Trustees, in conjunction with all townships within the boundaries of Benzie County, agreed to appoint one supervisor representative to serve on the County Tax Advisory Tax Limitation Committee. I don't know how we can speak for the other townships.
No, all we're trying to get is will you pass a resolution to get it on the ballot?
And that's not actually what this says. I'm sorry, the one before it says that it supports the statutory procedure. And yeah, that is what you just said, isn't it? Okay, so it's two things. We're saying that we support it go on the ballot and that we will supply somebody, that supervisors to serve on an advisory board. I so move. Do I have a second?
A second.
Any discussion? Roll call when you're ready.
Ferris,
Yes.
Nelson,
Yes.
Bob,
Yes.
Van Meter, yes.
Okay, is there anything, in public comment? Board comment? All right, this meeting is adjourned, and thank you very much for coming. It's 8:54.